If you're not using Ironclad for contracts, you could be leaving millions on the table without knowing it. Every contract holds renewal dates, pricing terms, and obligations you can't afford to miss. But good luck finding them when it matters. Ironclad's AI instantly surfaces what matters so you can act before opportunities slip away. That's why they're trusted by OpenAI, L'Oreal, and Salesforce. Find the savings hiding in your contracts at ironcladapp.com/podcast. That's ironcladapp.com/podcast.
Flowers die in 3 days. Matching underwear from MeUndies? That's a gift that lasts. MeUndies creates matching prints for couples and friends, same adorable designs in different cuts for each of you. All made from their signature ultra-modal fabric that feels impossibly soft. With 30 million pairs sold and 90,000 five-star reviews, MeUndies matching prints are the perfect gift. Valentine's Day is February 14th, so don't wait. Get exclusive deals up to 50% off at MeUndies.com/comfort, code COMFORT. That's MeUndies.com/comfort, code COMFORT.
This podcast is sponsored by Talkspace.
Last year, I went through many different life changes. I needed to take a pause and examine how I was feeling in the inside to better show up for the ones who need me to be my best version of myself.
When you're navigating life's changes, Talkspace can help. Talkspace is the #1 rated online therapy, bringing you professional support from licensed therapists and psychiatry providers that you can access anytime, anywhere.
Living a busy life, navigating a long-distance relationship, becoming a first-step father, Talkspace made all of those journeys possible. I could speak with my therapist in the office. I could speak with my therapist in the comfort of my home. I was never alone.
Talkspace works with most major insurers, and most insured members have a $0 copay. No insurance, no problem. Now get $80 off your first month with promo code SPACE80 when you go to Talkspace.com. Match with a licensed therapist today at Talkspace.com. Save $80 with code SPACE80 at Talkspace.com.
How would you like a 15% discount to my daily email, the stack of stuff, the show notes, discounts to the conference, all of that? All you need to do is text the word SHOW to 33777. You'll get the annual subscription with a 15% discount to my daily email. You'll get the stack of stuff, the links to the show notes, discounts to the conference, and so much more. All you have to do is text the word SHOW, SHOW, to 33777. Text SHOW to 33777.
Welcome to the Eric Erickson Show podcast, Hour 2.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome. It's Eric Erickson across the United States. 877-973-7425 is the phone number. If you want to be on the program, I would be very happy to have you. Okay. I got y'all. I'm sorry. Let me apologize. I shouldn't, because I'm a professional and you're here to listen to what I tell you. Nonetheless, I feel like I should apologize because I'm going to talk about a story that I haven't had the opportunity to talk about, but this is the perfect time to talk about it. There is new data out today on the middle class. The middle class is being wiped out in this country. Not for the reasons you think. The middle class is being wiped out because the middle class is getting rich. The percentage of Americans in the middle class is going down rapidly because people's wealth is being elevated. And globally, actually, the number of super wealthy is coming down compared to the number of the middle class getting wealthy. The proportion of people in the upper stratosphere, the upper 1/10 of 1%, is smaller, and it's not because they're getting poorer. It's because the middle class is getting richer. Into that comes this story from the New York Times, Freedom with a Side of Guilt, How Food Delivery is Reshaping Mealtime. Almost 3 of every 4 restaurant orders in the United States weren't eaten in a restaurant, according to recent data. They interviewed people about their DoorDash and Uber Eats habit of so many people are ordering in. And you should know, if you've never done it, it is expensive. The delivery fee, the tip, everything else, your $15 suddenly becomes $30. And what I'm reading into these stories is despite the middle class getting wealthy, younger middle class people really are irresponsible with their money. Listen to this. From her roughly $50,000 annual salary as a data processor in San Diego, Ms. Reedy, 34, spends at least $200 to $300 a week on food deliveries. Ordering in has eaten away at her savings, she says, and led her to socialize less. She tips generously, but worries the delivery drivers are poorly paid. I feel reliant upon it, but guilt for using it. Food delivery, which skyrocketed during the pandemic as a practical necessity, has become even more entrenched in the years since as a convenience, an everyday alternative to cooking or eating out. DoorDash is now a verb. And the new delivery economy is transforming the way Americans live, reshaping budgets, mealtimes, and social habits. In 2024, almost 3 of every 4 restaurant orders were not eaten in a restaurant. The number of households using delivery has roughly doubled from 2019, just before the pandemic, the group said. And in a survey last year, about 1/3 of American adults told the association they ordered food for delivery at least once a week. Now, here in Atlanta, there is a road, Piedmont Road, and there is a building. When I was in college and law school, it was a notorious adult toy store where the police regularly raided it and arrested a lot of men doing deviant things in the back of the building. Today, it's a kitchen for various restaurants that are 100% Uber Eats and DoorDash delivery restaurants. They don't have, there are no tables. There's nothing. It's branded kitchens that now use this building and hopefully aren't doing deviant things in the back with the various produce and meat. Now, one of the ones that just cracks me up is the story of Kevin Caldwell. I don't mean to pick on Kevin Caldwell, but Kevin Caldwell lives in Atlanta, Georgia. Let me just read you this. Between raising 2 young boys and putting in long hours at a marketing job in Atlanta, Kevin Caldwell can almost never find the time to make dinner. So he and his husband spend about $700 a week to order in. I'm so burned out and tired, I would rather just throw my credit card at the problem and delay that unhappiness until the bill comes, he said. His 4-year-old son doesn't read yet, but he can put together an order on the Chick-fil-A app, said Mr. Caldwell, 39. I'm impressed, but I'm also terrified. He frets about the waste he's creating with delivery boxes and bags. He's frustrated by the rising cost of ordering in, even though he'll often opt to pay extra to get faster service. And he misses entertaining guests as often as he once did. His formal dining table, he said, is collecting dust. First of all, shout out to the gays who eat at Chick-fil-A. Major props to you for not getting into the woke ideology. I've never met this guy, but I like this guy. He's willing to admit he's gay and his kids eat Chick-fil-A. I like that. I actually used to work with someone who one time filed an HR complaint because a manager brought Chick-fil-A to the office and he was gay and was offended. I kid you not. This guy, Kevin, he and his husband, their 4-year-old knows how to use the Chick-fil-A app. God bless them. But also, I got to laugh. Let me describe the scene of Kevin. And Kevin, you're probably not listening, but I don't mean to pick on you. Again, I mean, God bless you eating at Chick-fil-A. But Kevin is sitting in a kitchen, and it is a beautiful kitchen. I'm jealous of Kevin's kitchen. He has a Williams-Sonoma carving board. He's got a wooden salt holder on the carving board. He appears to be eating, he is eating sushi. Behind him is a wine chiller, a floor-to-ceiling wine chiller, and his wood-paneled refrigerator and freezer. Looks like they're probably Sub-Zero, which means they're super expensive. And between them is the most amazing collection of copper pots and skillets. This is an impressive house. It's very nice. The copper collection is phenomenal. I like the Williams-Sonoma cutting board. I had one, and unfortunately, someone who will go nameless child of mine put it in the dishwasher trying to be helpful, and, well, that was the end. I like it. Nice kitchen. Good-looking family. His husband is I guess didn't want to participate, nowhere to be seen. Got a nice house and is spending $700 a week on orders. Now, first of all, I get it. You know, there's this fashionable thing to do these days among the health sort. My wife got into it for a little while. It's called meal prep. Let me explain to you what meal prep is. For those of you who don't know the concept of meal prep is what normal people call leftovers. So on Saturday and Sunday, you make a massive pile of food that you then put into Tupperware containers or disposable cardboard containers or what have you, reusable plastic, and you put it in the refrigerator or the freezer. And during the week, you pull it out, you thaw it out, you pop it in the microwave, maybe the oven, you reheat it, and it's not as good as if you ate it the very first time. Meal prep is what the healthy people do because they got to get their macros in. They need their 200 grams of protein. Listen, I know what I'm talking about. I should be doing meal prep given my weight. I'm working on it, but I just don't like leftovers. I mean, there are some things like I'll make a pot of soup and I'll eat the soup for several days or gumbo, but a lot of stuff, no, I don't want leftovers. I want it to be fresh, and I'm having to learn to make smaller meals. And even then, my family, we eat out a lot. I can cast no stones in the story. We eat out a lot because I get home from work and the kids want different things. We are in a season of life right now, and people go through seasons of life where regularly cooking becomes problematic, except on the weekends. And I love to cook on the weekends. On Sundays, I'll cook multiple meals for friends on the front porch, for my family. Last week, I was slinging pizzas in the pizza oven. I was making pita bread in the pizza oven out back. I was making soup for the family. My wife was making soup. We did a lot of cooking. What is notable, however, is a common thread in the story is the feeling of guilt. That is a recurring theme in the New York Times story is people are making themselves poor and feeling guilty about it, knowing they shouldn't do it. Missy Augie recently moved to Santa Fe from Los Angeles to work as a sommelier. Has most of her food delivered. She no longer feels the social pressure she once did to meet friends for dinner. I still have friends here, and I don't go out anymore, so I randomly see people, and they're like, didn't know you were back. Others said food delivery has actually made them more social. Newa Cole, an events director in Yardley, Pennsylvania, began ordering meals when her 2 adult children lived with her and her husband during the pandemic, but she's continued as an empty nester because it allows her to spend more time with friends. It's been a big forgiving act for myself, says Ms. Cole, 54, who commutes an hour each way to New York City for work 3 days a week. I'd rather sit and catch up with a friend over a drink than worry about what we're doing for dinner that night. She invites friends over and we all DoorDash together. Now, that is the way to do it, to reduce the isolation. My kid has DoorDashed Chick-fil-A to school, but we try not to let him. We meal prep for him. He's got to eat the leftovers all week, although he's easy. He eats 5 pieces of bacon every day. 5 pieces of bacon, a big handful of Pringles, and some peanut butter crackers is basically my son's lunch every day of the week. You may think he's autistic. The school test keeps coming back saying we should test him for autism, but that's just his personality. He eats bacon, 5 pieces every day for lunch. And if we forget to make the bacon, he can DoorDash Chick-fil-A. And it's expensive, which is why we don't normally let him do it. My daughter did this one time when she was in high school. She decided to order Dunkin' Donuts for her class without telling us. I saw a $50-some-odd Dunkin' Donuts bill come in. Let me just tell you, I nearly lost my religion and had to ask Lord and Savior to forgive me for the language I was ready to unload on my child. I didn't do it. But again, the larger point here, this goes back to the theme of the first hour, and I didn't intend to be thematic here, but these people, typically on the left, participating in a New York Times story, they're choosing to order their food in. They're reducing their available cash flow by doing so, and they feel guilty about it. And I don't understand why so many people feel so guilty about doing something they want to do. It's as if they know they shouldn't. In fact, what it increasingly does, in addition to putting financial strain on people, is it isolates them from other people. It isolates them even from the people who make the food. You go to a restaurant, you're a regular at a restaurant. Like I go to Table in Maine, my favorite restaurant. It's in Roswell, Georgia. I know the staff. I know the chef. I know the hosts. I know the wait staff. They've been there forever. Super loyal wait staff, phenomenal service, incredible food. You order DoorDash all the time. You never get to meet those people. You can stay home and make it easy for yourself. But part of the guilt, I think, that people are experiencing this is a guilt that comes from the isolation. We are not meant to be isolated people. And then you're making poor financial decisions. And you justify it by saying, well, I'm giving someone a job, your food delivery person who's making minimum wage. And then you feel guilty about that. The one woman says she tips more because she's pretty sure they're underpaid. If you want to order DoorDash all the time, stop feeling guilty about it. Make your life decision. And if you feel guilty about it, maybe it's a sign that you know better and you shouldn't do it. And maybe you should spend your Saturday, Sunday in doing meal prep. But also, there are plenty of websites on the internet that can give you very cheap meals to throw together. And you just have got to go to your local grocery store. You can go to Whole Foods if you feel really white privilege guilt. You can go to Whole Foods. Normal people, go to your H-E-B, go to your Publix, go to your Kroger, wherever you need. But stop feeling guilty for making this life decision. You're actually having other people employed. You've inspired now an entire kitchen here in Atlanta, taking over an adult toy store. So they're now multiple branded kitchens for DoorDash-only services. The economy is being transformed by this. The internet continues to transform. Wait until we throw AI into the mix that knows what you want to eat and orders it for you before you even pick up the DoorDash app. But above all else, stop feeling guilty that you've made this choice. You made the choice. Live with it. And if you still feel guilty, well, change your habits.
Finding a hoodie that lasts through the season can be tough. The American Giant Classic Full Zip hoodie is made to last a lifetime, so you can count on it year after year. Every American Giant piece is made in America and designed to last. No exceptions. The result is durable clothing that becomes part of your life. Snag the hoodie that will bring you comfort for life. The American Giant Classic Full Zip. Save 20% off your first order at american-giant.com when you use Staple 20 at checkout.
Welcome back. Let's go to the phones. John, you're going to be up next. Welcome to the show, sir. How are you?
Good, Eric. How you doing?
Great.
So I called another question about the media, but I was wondering if I could ask you a quick question about your daughter's experience in England.
Sure.
So my daughter's going to be doing a half semester in England this summer. So I was curious where your daughter was in England and what exactly the issues were.
Yep. So she was in Brighton at the University of Sussex. And there are a couple of reasons why she came home so early. One is she got there and all of the information they had provided before she went over there describing the program she was in, when she got there, the in-person presentations were completely different from what they had said. So the classes that she signed up for weren't actually the classes she thought she was getting when she went. The course structure, the topics, everything were different from what they had told her. So she was going for business stuff and would have had to repeat the classes. That became obvious. But the bigger issues were administrative. They almost didn't have a dorm room for her. She was going to have to put up in a hotel. She was called an effing C word by an employee on campus when she got lost and wandered in somewhere she wasn't supposed to go. And she saw someone and went to ask that person for help because she knew she was lost, and they yelled at her and called her a effing C word. And then the administration tried to pressure her not to say anything about the incident and not to tell her university here. And it just became a confluence of events. And then a local pastor that I had reached out to there emailed me and said that particular school is notoriously unfriendly. So if your kid's not going to that one, we know a lot of people who went to other schools that had great great success and no problems. But it was, and just to give you a sense of just what a mess it actually is she got an email yesterday that she got a demerit for not showing up to a mandatory meeting. She hasn't been there in 2 weeks. This school in particular apparently has some issues. So yes, avoid that one and you'll be good otherwise. There's a secret war on cash that's been brewing out there for some time. Swiss America has been warning people about it. You go to SwissAmerica.com and /Eric, and you can get their free report on the secret war on cash, breaking down what's really going on with global currencies, debt, why hard assets like gold and silver are back in fashion, how the government is trying to steer you away from using hard currency, cash, gold, things like that, even crypto. Call or text them at 800-289-2646 to get it, 800-289-2646. Mention Eric, text my name, Eric, to 800-289-2646. And check out Swiss America Trading on YouTube. They got a great podcast breaking down these topics as well and what's going on with the BRICS, global power shifts, what it could mean for precious metals, 800-289-2646 or SwissAmerica.com/Eric. Message and data rates may apply.
Imagine you're a business owner relying on a dozen different software programs. Each one is expensive, overly complicated, and worst of all, none of them are connected. It can be incredibly stressful, right? Now, picture Odoo. CRM, accounting, inventory, manufacturing, marketing, HR, and more. Odoo brings all the tools your business needs into one simple platform, and all seamlessly connected. Everything works together, giving you the peace of mind that your business is running smoothly from every angle. Odoo's open source applications are user-friendly and designed to scale with your business, saving you time and money. Say goodbye to juggling multiple platforms and hello to efficient integrated management. Stop wasting resources on complicated systems and make the switch to Odoo today. Visit odoo.com, ODOO.com, and discover how Odoo can simplify and streamline your business operations. Odoo, modern management made simple.
Y'all, calm down on sharing your cooking stories with Charlie. He's also dealing with the Epstein conspiracy theorists today. Doesn't have time for both of you. 877-973-7425 should you otherwise wish to be on the program. Real quick, I gotta defend Robert F. Kennedy Jr. I actually do. I am not a fan of Robert F. Kennedy. Never have been. Do not believe Robert F. Kennedy should be the Secretary of Health and Human Services. I think he's actually a pretty terrible person who pushed his wife over the edge to suicide and then wouldn't give her body to her family. He was a serial adulterer on her. He's not a good person. He never has been a good person. But people love him these days because he tells them what they want to hear on food and health and the like. And also over the years, he's been a vaccine denier. And all of that. But there is a move on right now there's a massive increase in measles in this country and also a massive increase in the number of kids with the flu and even an increase in deaths of flu of children who were not vaccinated and increases in kids with fallout problems from measles. And the press is working overtime to blame it on Robert F. Kennedy Jr. Now, it is true that in his past life, he was a vaccine denier then too. But it wasn't just Kennedy, and this is a prolonged problem, and part of the biggest problem is a bunch of people who came across the border who were illegal aliens, who were not vaccinated, who were carrying diseases with them. And to put this on Robert F. Kennedy is convenient opportunism. I don't like the guy, and I am willing to criticize the man. But Robert F. Kennedy Jr. is not responsible for a bunch of unvaccinated immigrants coming into this country. And when you look at the spread of measles and other diseases in the country right now, a lot of it is coming from these populations of illegal aliens who came into the country. And it's a convenient cudgel for the media to blame him in this situation. He's opened himself up to the blame with vaccine denials in the past and whatnot, but it's way bigger than Robert F. Kennedy Jr. And frankly, even in the white communities where we're seeing upticks in no vaccines for measles and no vaccines for flu and things like that, in many of the cases, it is actually these people listening to social media influencers other than Robert F. Kennedy Jr. Vaccine denial is going to set us back a very long way in this country. And frankly, a lot of people undermined the integrity of vaccines because of how hard they push COVID. or the COVID vaccine. I was a big advocate of the COVID vaccine. And in fact, contrary to what you may hear, actually the people who take the COVID vaccine are dying less of COVID than the people who didn't. But also we were all told that it would make sure we didn't get COVID, and that's not the case. It's also evolved so long. My wife, who has stage 4 lung cancer, an incurable form no less, has stopped getting the COVID booster altogether because she reacts to it more than she does the COVID. COVID has evolved now. It's not nearly as life-threatening as it was. But on the issue of vaccines generally, the measles vaccine, the MMR, actually is a good vaccine for your kids. And what the anti-vaccine people do is they keep moving the goalposts. They don't want the vaccine, but they say, well, it's the amount of vaccines they give us at one time. That's my contention, but they don't actually like vaccines. The flu vaccine, more often than not, does help people with the flu. Anecdotally, you may get the shot and get the flu. Spare me the phone call, because we have copious amounts of data that people who get the flu shot have less flu. This year is an anomaly because they built the flu shot premised on what flu strains there would be, and every once in a while they get a miss. And this year there was a European strain of the flu that made it into the United States and took off like wildfire that was not in the flu vaccine. So people are getting the flu. I got the flu shot, didn't get the flu. The rest of my family got the flu shot. They did get the flu A. And then one of them got flu B after getting flu A. But to put all of this on Robert F. Kennedy Jr., yes, he's been one of the people stirring the anti-vaccine pot in this country, but it's actually, you look at the data of who is overwhelmingly succumbing to these diseases, it is the illegal immigrant population that came into the country unvaccinated. And Robert F. Kennedy was not campaigning in Guatemala and Honduras against vaccines when these people were refusing to get vaccines. And my problem here is there is a lot to criticize Robert F. Kennedy for. And when you're criticizing him for something like this that he has nothing to do with, it undermines your credibility on the legitimate concerns about Kennedy. Now, I had to get that off my chest for sake of credibility, if nothing else, because, you know, take the abortion drug. There are plenty of things to criticize Kennedy for, but this is not one of them. It's nonsensical to do that. Let's move on to the Democrats and ICE, baby. They do not want to fund ICE, and they are actually furious with Chuck Schumer in the House of Representatives for putting together a proposal for changes to ICE that would allow them then to vote. Let me run through their proposals. This is a letter from Hakeem Jeffries and Chuck Schumer. We write with respect to fiscal year 2026 funding for the Department of Homeland Security. For months, the American people watched in horror as ICE has terrorized communities around the country. After months of escalation against everyday Americans and law-abiding immigrant families, 2 U.S. citizens were killed in the streets of Minneapolis. Federal immigration agents cannot continue to cause chaos in our cities while using taxpayer money that should be used to make life more affordable for working families. We believe Congress needs to enact the following guardrails. 1, targeted enforcement. Homeland Security cannot enter private property without a judicial warrant. End indiscriminate arrests and improve warrant procedures and standards. Require verification that a person is not a U.S. citizen before holding them in immigration detention. That is dead on arrival with Republicans in the Senate. They do not have the votes. Absolutely don't have the votes. There is no need to do judicial warrants. If they do it, that will give essentially de facto amnesty, and the Republicans aren't going to have it. Number 2, no masks. Prohibit ICE and immigration enforcement agents from wearing face covers. That's not going to happen either. I mean, the progressives are targeting ICE agents and Border Patrol agents who show their face, targeted harassment, trying to get them killed. Require IDs. Require the officers conducting immigration enforcement to display their agency, unique ID number, and last name. Require them to verbalize their ID number and last name is asked. This is to get around the masks. No, they shouldn't have to do this. Show that you've got the badge, show that you're legitimate, but don't give disclosing information that can get you targeted by Antifa. Protect sensitive locations. Prohibit funds from being used to conduct enforcement near sensitive locations, medical facilities, schools, child care facilities, churches, polling places, courts, etc. No, because the illegal immigrants are going to those places seeking sanctuary. Stop racial profiling. Prohibit Homeland Security officers from conducting stops, questioning, and searching based on individuals' presence at certain locations, their job, their spoken language, their accent, or their race or ethnicity. There is a compromise to be had on this one because you're not supposed to racially profile in this country anyway, even though I still think we should, but you're not supposed to. So they'll find a compromise on this one. Uphold use of force standards. place into law reasonable use of force policy, expand training, require certification of officers. GOP will probably compromise on that one. Ensure state and local coordination and oversight, preserve the ability of state and local jurisdictions to investigate and prosecute potential crimes and use of excessive force incidents. There'll be a compromise on that one. Build safeguards into the system. Make clear that all buildings where people are detained must abide by the same basic detention standards that require immediate access to a person's attorney to prevent citizen arrests or detention. Allow states to sue DHS for violations of all requirements. That part they won't cooperate on. The Republicans won't, but the others they will. Body cameras for accountability, not tracking. Requiring them, that is something Donald Trump has already ordered. No paramilitary police. Regulate and standardize the type of uniforms and equipment carried to bring them in compliance with civil enforcement. The GOP will compromise to some degree on that. But some of these the GOP simply can't compromise on because of the targets, because the progressives wish to target the ICE agents. Now, here's what's going on. The Democrats know that the GOP can't cooperate on all of these and won't cooperate on all of these. And they're doing this in large part because they want another government shutdown. They want the government shutdown because they want to look like they're fighting to the progressive base. Now, you know because you listen to me that Homeland Security's Immigration Division has already been funded. Billions of dollars have already been spent. The One Big Beautiful Bill Act. But they're hoping most people don't know that. And the result is that they want to shut down Homeland Security. They want to fight to make it look like they're fighting for you and me and the illegal immigrants. And they say, pay no attention to the fact that ICE and Border Patrol are funded. I think it's actually kind of marvelous that they think their base is so stupid that immigration deportations are still going to be funded, but you standing in line at the airport are going to have a long line because of TSA agents not showing up for their job. The drug smugglers are going to have a field day coming into the country because the Coast Guard's not going to be funded. Next major disaster, FEMA's not going to be funded. It's just fantastic that the Democrats think that they can shut the country down indefinitely. And in the process, somehow or another, they're going to make reforms to a Border Patrol and ICE situation that's already funded. This isn't going to happen. And the Democrats in the House, by the way, know it's not going to happen. And that's why they want Chuck Schumer to shut up. They do not want Chuck Schumer involved in the process at all at this point. They think Chuck Schumer is deeply unhelpful, and they're just rushing to the shutdown, rushing to a shutdown. And I hope they shut it down and keep it shut down and watch the voter backlash in November, because you forget the Democrats, they concluded from the last government shutdown that they paid no price. And they will overplay their hands if they shut it down. Now, to the phones. Michelle, you're going to be the next caller on the show. Welcome to the show, Michelle.
Welcome. Thank you for having me.
Sure.
I'm a DoorDash driver. I lost my business. I started driving for DoorDash in 2022. I can tell you that the restaurants do get 30%, firstly. And secondly, the algorithm of DoorDash tells us to keep the food and mark it as undeliverable if we cannot reach the customer within 5 minutes.
Wow.
I'm one of those drivers that goes above and beyond. I make sure I reach the customer. I wait, I call most of the time, because I'm thinking of first responders, elderly people. Mm-hmm. We get violations for that. Mm-hmm. So if a person wants to feel a little less guilty, maybe they should tip more. Just take one person who goes above and beyond. I'm sure they get several of them that deliver. Give them $30, $40 extra dollars, and they can go home early, mm-hmm. 3 or 4 hours early.
It's not a bad idea, actually. We have it's kind of funny, my son, he gets a lot of Papa John's, and I've noticed that Papa John's no longer has their own delivery driver. They outsource all of it in our area to DoorDash. And inevitably, it's almost always the exact same DoorDash driver who shows up.
They do. The algorithm does use the same people. If the person is happy with you and they leave you a good rating and you work that certain area, for instance, my area is Midtown. So ironically, we're being replaced by robots now.
Wow.
Because they don't want traffic in downtown Atlanta. They're even ticketing us for picking up from restaurants that we picked up for years. We're getting tickets for parking in the parking areas.
Good grief.
So, yeah, there's a lot to what they're doing, and most of it has just more so to do with the money. You know, I guess the investors want their money. They don't care who's, delivering, who's doing what. But if a person wanted to feel a little bit less guilty, like I said, there's many people who go above and beyond like me because I'm a foodie. I have disabled people, elderly people in my family who I know have to order food. And I don't want to just say no because they don't answer their phone in 2 minutes. Mm-hmm. And then they don't get their money. College students, too, they tell us just cancel. Well, they refund them in 5 to 7 business days. That could have been all the money that they had.
Mm-hmm. Good grief. Well, look,
so they might not
I appreciate you doing that. But let me go back to something you said. You're doing this because you had lost your business and you took up DoorDash. How is your income compared to what you were doing?
How is it now? I'm sorry. It's terrible.
Wesley Meadows Drive.
Give me a second. Mm-hmm. It's terrible. It's not. DoorDash is not a great income.
Yeah.
It's not.
That's what I've heard.
What it is guaranteed if you know how to do right customer service. Mm-hmm. That's the way I see it. You have to, want people to be happy that they got their food.
Yeah. Yeah, and you say that, Michelle. My wife occasionally uses Instacart for grocery shopping, and she will only do it if she texts one particular driver and says, "I got to do it today. Are you around?" Because that lady she's the best. And if I'm out of town and my wife, because she's immunocompromised, doesn't like the grocery store, she relies on that Instacart driver, and they have developed this great relationship. And my wife tips her well because she knows that. That lady is out hustling, so I'm glad you are there and so mindful of customer service, and I appreciate the work you're doing out there, and I know it's also not easy, particularly in the metro Atlanta area where it's always everything is 20, 30, 40 minutes away, depending on what some idiot in the left lane has done while staring at a cell phone.
Looking for a Valentine's gift she'll truly love? 1-800-Flowers.com knows what she wants. For 50 years, 1-800-Flowers has helped guys like you get it right, delivering millions of fresh Valentine's roses nationwide. 1-800-Flowers offers premium fresh-cut flowers backed by their 7-day freshness guarantee, plus same-day delivery when you need them on time. Valentine's is coming up and bouquets are selling fast, so don't wait on this. Order today at 1-800-Flowers.com/podcast. That's 1-800-Flowers.com/podcast.
Welcome back. Let's go to the phones. David calling from Jacksonville, Florida. You're up next. Welcome.
Hey, Eric. How you doing today?
I'm good. How about yourself?
I guess you're broadcasting from the marvelous Bibb County, Macon, Georgia right now.
Actually, I am in Atlanta.
Oh, my goodness. The reason I called, and I'm getting, we've got to keep throwing it back at the progressive libs, whomever. If there were no, as you well know, if there were no sanctuary cities or sanctuary states, as Georgia is and as Florida is and as Alabama is, you would never know ICE was here because they'd go to where these folks are incarcerated, who've already been convicted or have a deportation order or something to that effect, pick them up, and that'd be the end of it.
Yeah.
But as was said, if you want to play hardball, we'll play hardball. And ICE is doing what they said they would do. I forgot the guy's name that's over in Minnesota right now. That's
right, Holman. Yeah.
Yeah. And I don't hear that enough. If you guys want sanctuary cities, you'd never see us. All we do is go to the detention facility, pick them up, and we'd be gone. Mm-hmm. And I don't hear enough of that. I don't hear the Republicans or the leadership saying enough of that. This is all on you.
Right. Yeah, look, I think the Republicans need to make the issue sanctuary cities. And in fact, I think in the negotiations with the Democrats, they need to insist that sanctuary states and sanctuary cities go away, that if Democrats are certified by ICE to not to be helping with the deportations, then their state gets no money from the federal government. And they can choose, do you want money from the federal government to subsidize your state? Or do you want to help deport illegal aliens? It's the state's choice. They can decide if they want the virtue signaling of being a sanctuary state, let them, but don't give them any money. Now, I got to tell you about Renai. Listen, I've been asked now a bunch of times on pricing, and I got to tell you, it is extremely reasonably priced. For the tankless water heaters are the size of a small carry-on bag. Ours is mounted to the side of our house, and it's phenomenal. We do not run out of hot water. As long as you got natural gas or propane, you're going to have hot water. Our power bill went down because we had electric water heaters beforehand, and we had two of them because they were under our house, and so they were compacts, very squat. And one for downstairs, one for upstairs, and the kids would constantly get in fights over showers and baths, and we don't do that anymore. We do not run out of hot water. It flows. It is absolutely fantastically hot, exactly what you want. Go to TalkingTankless.com today. You can find out more about the Renai tankless water heaters. You can ditch your tank, and you can get a tankless. TalkingTankless.com is the website, TalkingTankless.com. The Renai tankless water heater, you have hot water forever. It is reasonably priced. They got a factory just north of me in Griffin, Georgia. Great company, great product.
Marketing is hard. But I'll tell you a little secret. It doesn't have to be. Let me point something out. You're listening to a podcast right now, and it's great. You love the host. You seek it out and download it. You listen to it while driving, working out, cooking, even going to the bathroom. Podcasts are a pretty close companion. And this is a podcast ad. Did I get your attention? You can reach great listeners like yourself with podcast advertising from Libsyn Ads. Choose from hundreds of top podcasts offering host endorsements, or run a pre-produced ad like this one across thousands of shows to reach your target audience in their favorite podcasts with Libsyn Ads. Go to libsynads.com, that's Libsyn, ads.com today,